Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingrass, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat, the show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. I'm a clinical psychologist, father of two ADHD kids, and I'm married into a whole family of ADHDers. And I have been in private practice for a long time, and I've worked with ADHD kids, ADHD executives, ADHD families, ADHD adults, pretty much any category you want to pick. And this is a diagnostic category. Thank you. That was my audio engineer signaling that I'm getting a signal or giving out a signal, I guess. Anyway, so there's a whole bunch about ADHD that we don't know, and a whole bunch that we have learned since I mostly it's after I started having kids, frankly. We didn't know a darn thing about ADHD when I was a kid. Matter of fact, there was the diagnosis didn't exist. So there's been a lot of changes, and a lot of good information has come out from research and so on. And now we know ADHD is a neurologic condition. There are actual changes in the structure of the brain, and the biggest one is probably in the biochemistry of the brain, where the neurotransmitters are concerned. Your brain is a complex combination of electrochemical stimuli. For when a signal is within the axon of the nerve, it's electrical. When it goes from one nerve to the next nerve, it is chemical. And it's at the chemical stage that ADHD causes problems. Dopamine is restricted somehow. Either it's not made metabolized or made as well or as early as it should be, or it's metabolized too fast. It's unclear at this stage of the game. But one of the things I want to talk about is, and one of the complaints about ADHD is usually the emotional stuff. Oh my God, is it? Okay. Emotions are complicated. You would think, oh, everybody's got emotions, so we must know everything about them. But scientists can't even agree on how many emotions there are. I mean, it's everything from a low of probably 9 different emotions, and one enterprising psychologist claims there are 3,400 emotions. So that's good luck on that one. But we need to know, it would be nice for us to know where emotions come from, how they develop, okay? And a lot about emotion is through learning. When you think about human beings, almost everything we do is learned. You may have good flexibility or good coordination or good strength. You inherited a certain body type, but what you do with that, determines whether or not you're captain of the basketball team or your head cheerleader. It's just how you have used what you have learned. And in emotions, the stuff that's immutable is just the way the system works. Certain emotions are manifested by arousal, emergency response, and certain emotions are characterized by slowing everything down. And that part of it is built in. You measure somebody's biochemistry when they're angry, and you measure another person's while they're angry, and they'll look pretty close. So that part is entrenched in the chemistry and the structure of the body and the mind. But when you think about it, everybody's got a favorite bad emotion. You look at a group of human beings and they're all in the same situation. Say they're all stuck in a traffic jam. one guy's beating on the steering wheel and screaming, and his veins are bulging, and one person is sitting there just looking all worried and, oh God, I'm going to miss an appointment or something. I don't know what's going through his or her mind, but they're clearly anxious. And some people, can be downright depressed. Why did everything happens to me? Everything's so horrible. So a large part of what happens with us and emotions is based on the way we were taught, first of all, and the way we continue to think about events in our lives. And part of it is there are a lot of components to that. And one of them is your perception of yourself, your self-perception. Are you a really cool person and got it going on and all that stuff? Or are you an outcast, one of these people who just can't fit in, had no friends, and is always lonely and all that sort of thing? Some of that is about events, and some of it is what you're taught. But it is not, none of us are born to be outcasts. It just doesn't work that way. Okay. You learn it. Okay. And I'm sure all of us know that we carry these negative ways of looking at ourselves. For instance, I was raised in the 50s, basically 50s and 60s. My dad was a veteran of World War II. The guy across the street was a veteran of World War II. The guy next to him was a veteran. They were everybody in the neighborhood had military experience and had, the usual go to basic training, get broken down and built back up as a soldier or a sailor, or, well, those are the two options back in those days. So we were taught that you want to fit in. You do not want to brag. You do not want to be, that guy that stands different up above the group and that sort of stuff. My dad's favorite thing was, who do you think you are? When he was thinking I was getting a little too full of myself. And, in combat situations, being the outcast is dangerous. You might not come back because of that sort of thing. But this, of course, was peacetime. And so I had an unusual amount of shyness and withdrawal to overcome to do what I do basically nowadays. So those are messages that my parents gave to me, and you are giving similar messages, hopefully somewhat more positive than that, to your kids. So it's both the things that you aspire for them to do, the things you're looking forward to, and the things you're trying to keep them from being, that again, in my family, I have no personal knowledge, but my dad thought he was raised in a family of alcoholics. I don't know that. But that's what he thought. So, boy, he was always on drunk this and drunk that, and had too much and should have known better, and da 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 da. So, guess what? I didn't particularly care to be around people who were drinking until I got to college. And then it was like, oh, this isn't so bad. This is kind of fun, So, but that was something I was trained in. And that's something you are training your kids in, based on what you want for them and what you definitely don't want them to do. And depending on how you do it, it's either, oh, hey, thanks for telling me that. Or it's a, good, I'm so sick of hearing about this crap. I could, So you want to have a mind on that. one of the things that, well, like when I was raised, you were supposed to go to school, get good grades, go to college, get good grades, get a good job with a company, and work every day, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, until you get your gold watch. That was it, And well, my dad actually, he wanted me to be a doctor, and I kind of guess I am, but it's, uh, so there's nothing wrong with those messages unless they are, but you've got to be sensitive to what your child really wants and what his or her real skills really are. Like if you have an ADHD child, they have got to, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but they can't be bored. If they're bored, they're not going to be productive. So if, dad's an accountant and so everybody expects you to be an accountant, but you've got ADHD and accounting bores you. Actually, that may be a bad example because I know some people with ADHD who are really good at being accountants. It's sort of, they had the permission though, they could be an accountant or they could be something else. And matter of fact, I had a patient who, his family was very strict, Orthodox family, very wealthy, lots of lawyers and businessmen in the family. And they were concerned with this kid because they thought he was just a screw up. He was never going to amount to anything. He was an embarrassment to the family, da 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 da. Well, then I diagnosed him and explained to them about ADHD and what it was and how it wasn't because he was somehow morally corrupt or any of those things. So I got to give them credit. They really came to his benefit, came to understand him and sent him to a college that was designed specifically for ADHDers and da 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 da. And he's now a coach in an ADHD coach and doing pretty well. Got to get married, got a couple of kids, da 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 da. When you teach your children, you have to teach them calmly with a little bit of flexibility as to what they do with what you give them. Okay. One of the things we know about emotions is that emotions are a combination of your life experiences and the lessons you were taught. And I probably say this at least every other show, that ADHDers on average get 70 critical comments every day. That will do a number on your self identity. You will not think very highly of yourself. You will have a perception of yourself as what? Like the book title, Lazy, Crazy, or Stupid, and the problem, is that the way we think of ourselves limits what we will expect ourselves to do, and I have been emphasizing, I think, as much as I can every week, is you want a child who's resilient, who can take a failure and be able to label it as a learning experience and take some good value from the experience. Not that we want lots of failures, but we're going to, in life, you're going to have a certain number of failures no matter what. And you're much better off if you can kind of say, well, that didn't work out quite the way I wanted it to, but next time I'm going to do it with this change. I'm going to, spend a little more time on this part of it, a little less time on the rest of it. So, there's a fine line in parenting between being too permissive and being too strict. And it's important to find that level. I think a lot of times the people who are the most strict are the ones who are most afraid of their kids, afraid that if they don't get disciplined properly early on, they're going to turn into criminals and that sort of thing. not so. I mean, people naturally want to be part of society, and they naturally want to fit in and help other people, really. I mean, and they want to, in general, they don't want to be labeled as the bad guy, and they want to do what they need to do to fit in. It's only if they come into it feeling like I am the bad guy, or I am the one everybody's gonna, and then they're ready to overreact to things. And that's almost never good. So with emotions, you've got to be careful what you train. You've got to see that the way you react and the way you interact is a sizable portion of your child's emotional learning. And you've got to be aware that you are both a role model, that is, they learn more watching what you do than what you say to them. So you've got to display, model the kind of behavior you want them to see. When you have a disappointment in your life, you've got to, what you're doing is not just getting through that disappointment for yourself, but you're also teaching your child as you go. So, if you blow up and throw things and stomp your feet and up and down, guess what you're going to get? He's going to get mad, or she's going to get mad, and they will try doing the same thing. And then if you try to correct them for doing that, they're going to go, they're not going to trust you, basically. They're going to think, well, he does this, but he wasn't going to, he thinks I shouldn't. So what's up with that? And so, how you behave, how you handle things, especially how you handle the hard things, the disappointments, the inevitable screw ups on the internet. Life has become more complicated because almost everything is digital and people aren't talking anymore. I had one thing. I was trying to get a piece of medical equipment, and it took 3 months because I kept calling one company, and they said, oh, but we sent the message to them. And then I called and nothing happened. Then I called the other company, and they said, well, we just sent a message to them. So it was like they're communicating like this. And because it's just on the screen and they do their part with no feedback at all, it just kept going round and round and round. And it took me 3 months to get through it. Well, actually, what happened is we had to fire the one company and get another one. And but it was 3 months that didn't need to be wasted. So you need to be the person who models the appropriate behavior and the appropriate way to handle emotions and that sort of thing. And you need to understand you have control of your emotions. Emotions aren't automatic, even though they sometimes feel that way. Emotions are based on what you have learned over the years. They are based on you having had certain experiences or watching other people have certain experiences, and you've learned from that and taken lessons. And one of the things you've learned is what emotional response you're going to have. Okay. And you have control over that. I mean, that's the amazing thing. And the one we're going to be talking a little bit more about next time, because there is an approach to dealing with emotions that's real helpful for a lot of things, including improving your self-image. So we'll be talking about cognitive behavior therapy in a little more detail next time. But in the meantime, just remember, emotions, everybody's got them, but not everybody emphasizes the same ones at the same equal level. Okay, everybody's got a favorite bad emotion, and hopefully they've got a favorite good emotion, but we don't worry about that so much. So, I mean, it's a complicated area, although we all experience it every day. So we will be doing that next time. Cognitive behavior It's just a fancy term for a pretty simple concept. Okay, and so I'm Dr. Terry James Gingrass. This has been Dr. G's ADHD chat. This show is designed to make the world safe, or safer at least, for ADHDers. My website's terrygingrassphd.com. I also do private coaching. If that's something you're interested in, go to my website, and there are lots of opportunities to sign up for a free initial interview and see if we can work together. Okay, so thank you, and we will catch you later.